All right, for more discussions into the development of the peace deal, let's talk to Mr. Wang Jin, a professor and also director for the Center of International Strategic Studies at Northwest University in China. Professor Wang, welcome to Global Watch, as always. Well, first of all, about the peace deal, the first phase of the deal for both parties. What's your assessment? What are the key remaining issues to be addressed in the future?
Well, Dongying, I think this is a very successful moment that we witnessed the final reach of the peace deal, because we know as you mentioned, the deal is divided into different phases, and the first phases cover the major issues from both Israel and Hamas. From Israeli perspective, they would suspend military strikes against the Gaza Strip, and they would also withdraw parts of the region that they are occupying or they are planning to occupy. And also, they would reopen the border channels and permit more international aid into Gaza Strip, and also free the release of some of the Palestinian so-called prisoners inside Israeli prisons. And also from the Hamas perspective, they would be asked to release the Israeli hostages remaining, and also giving the bodies of the Israeli taken hostages back to Israel. So that's why I think it's a very, very important moment, and the first phase could be successfully implemented in the next maybe 1 month or 2 months. We would witness the very important moment for peace. But then, as you mentioned, the future would face a lot of uncertainties, because then the second phase or the remaining phases would cover, for example, how to reconstruct the authority in the Gaza Strip, how to restart the economic construction program in the Gaza Strip, where the money comes from, and how to organize this kind of the new government, how to define the role of Hamas, and how to deal with the different relations between different Palestinian factions. These are all very, very sensitive and difficult issues, but no matter how, we are witnessing a very important, peaceful moment right now.
Israel is under great pressure from the international community. It is also facing domestic pressure as well. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will convene his cabinet on Thursday, as we understand, to approve the deal. Do you foresee objections in Israel, especially some far-right, hardliner ministers against implementing the deal?
Sure, Tony. Of course, as you mentioned, that Israelis, there were very, very strong and serious obstacles in their cabinet and in their government, because some of the right-wing and ultra-right-wing political leaders may reject the peace deal. But I think from Netanyahu's perspective, on the one hand, that he has already given his words that he would try to push the deal past. I think it's highly likely that the deal would be approved by the cabinet, because he has already calculated the possible the dynamics, and I think it's very likely that the deal would be passed. And also, on the other hand, maybe some of the right-wing and ultra-right-wing political leaders, they would try to reject the deal, but their anger and their dissatisfaction could be compensated by other political arrangements. For example, to permit new Jewish settlements in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem, and maybe more money or funds be allocated to the ministries occupied by these ultra-wing and right-wing political leaders. So everything is possible, but I think that the cabinet of Israel will finally, security cabinet will finally approve the deal as early as possible, Tony.
But we are sensing kind of deep distrust between the two sides. Hamas has its own concern. It has called on Trump and guarantor states to ensure that Israel fully implements the ceasefire. Do you see a risk that strikes will resume after all hostages are released?
Sure, I think the new round of the conflict would restart, because we're talking about the new mechanism after the first phase successfully implemented or largely implemented, because on the first phase is, as we just mentioned, it actually met the demands both from Israel and Hamas. So that's why the first phase is very likely to be successfully implemented. But then after the first phase of the ceasefire, new difficulties, new obstacles would emerge. How to define the role of Hamas? From Israeli perspective, they don't want Hamas to play an important role in the Gaza Strip. But from the perspective of Hamas, they hope to continue to play an important role in the Gaza Strip. So that's why this is something conflicting. And also from the other issues such as how to control the goods, how to monitor the goods transfer from outside into Gaza Strip, how to define the future connections and the relations between Israel and the Gaza Strip. And these are all the very, very sensitive topics. So that's why I think maybe in the future, after the first phase successfully implemented, maybe 1 month or 2 months, the war would come back again, the military strike would come back again. Dongyi.
Right, and the Gazan people, of course, are very happy at the moment. Although 67,000 of them have been killed and most of its infrastructure in ruins right now, how much effort will be needed for humanitarian aid and reconstruction?
I think many things should be done. First of all, the international community and the different Palestinian factions should organize together to establish a more reliable, more sustainable government in the Gaza Strip, and the government should be more inclusive rather than the very exclusive. And so that's why I think the new authority is highly needed. Reliable, stable authority is highly needed, and the more international aid should be transferred and should be gathered and transferred successfully into the Gaza Strip to the hands of the local people, because we know that the people in the Gaza Strip, they are suffering not just from the war, but also from the humanitarian crisis that is ongoing right now. So that's why more things should be done. More mechanism that guarantee the peace, guarantee the international humanitarian aids, the international assistance should be guaranteed, and also the more reliable guarantee of mechanism to ensure the sustainability of the longer peace. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas should also be facilitated. So that's why I think more things should be done, and maybe that the immediate future we're witnessing the very major positive progress, but from the longer future we may face more uncertainties and more challenges. Dongyi.
We'll keep a close eye on the following phases of the peace deal and also the implementation of the peace deal if it's reached by both sides. Thank you very much, Professor Wang Jin, Director of the Center for the International Strategic Studies at Northwest University in China.